and welcome to the Papyrus Global TV. This is the National News Assembly, and I am Christiana Babayo. Before we begin, here are the headlines. Reps call for immediate completion of abandoned road project in Kogi. Reps walk out on FIRS chairman, accuse him of arrogance and budget delays. Reps summon bank CEOs over alleged illegal deductions from customers' accounts. Reps deny bill to rename Nigeria. Reps back bill to outlaw foreign currency use in domestic transactions. Many Nigerians remain unaware of landmark Climate Change Act, former lawmaker says. Nigerian Army and National Assembly deepen collaboration to boost border security. The House of Representatives has urged the federal government to prioritize the immediate completion of an abandoned federal road project in Kogi State, citing the urgent need to improve transport infrastructure and enhance economic activities in the region. The call came during a parliamentary session in Abuja, where lawmakers raised concerns that prolonged delays had dis- on roads that had disrupted commerce, increased travel risk, and imposed avoidable costs on motorists and traders. The road in question, part of the federal highway network that connects critical economic hubs across Kogi and neighboring states, has stalled for 5 years, with ongoing deterioration threatening safety and driving up maintenance costs for users. Representatives from affected constituencies affected by the project's abandonment argued that completing the highway could boost agricultural productivity, ease the movement of goods and services, and stimulate local economies along the corridor. In making their appeal, the lawmakers said that infrastructure shortfalls, such as abandoned road projects, undermine investor confidence and worsen socioeconomic conditions for residents who depend on reliable transport links for business and social needs. They urged relevant ministries and agencies, including the Federal Ministry of Works, to release the necessary funds and expedite contractor mobilization to salvage the project without further delay. The resolution aligns with broader Assembly efforts to address stalled federal infrastructure projects nationwide, a legislative priority as part of oversight functions intended to ensure value for money and timely utilization of public resources. Members of Nigeria's House of Representatives abruptly walked out on the executive chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Zach Adedeji, during a plenary session in Abuja amid sharp exchanges over alleged arrogance and delays in budget implementation. Lawmakers signaled frustration that delayed funding and budget releases were impeding national projects, particularly zonal intervention initiatives and contractual payments, prompting the dramatic exit from proceedings. The incident underscored growing legislative impatience with revenue agencies, which lawmakers say must be held accountable for timely remittance and collaboration with fiscal planners. Senior legislators pressed for full funding of the budget within 48 hours and demanded clearer timelines for the 2025 appropriation, reflecting intensifying oversight tensions between the National Assembly and revenue authorities as the country grapples with economic pressures and public service delivery demands. Representatives has ordered the chief executive officers of major Nigerian commercial banks, including GT Bank, Zenith Bank, Access Bank, and others, to appear personally before a special investigative panel after allegations surfaced of unlawful and unexplained deductions from the accounts of civil servants, public servants, and other customers. Lawmakers acting through an ad hoc committee rejected attempts by proxies to represent the banks, insisting that the executives must attend in person to answer questions. The committee is probing multiple deductions it deems illegitimate, including fees that were neither properly authorized nor remitted to relevant authorities. In addition to summoning the CEOs, the panel directed the banks to submit all requested documents by a set deadline, warning that failure to comply could attract sanctions. Representatives say they would also work with the Ministry of Finance, the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation, and the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission to ensure that the investigation is comprehensive and transparent. Representatives has dispelled circulating claims that an executive bill proposing to rename the country the United States of Nigeria is before the National Assembly. Lawmakers clarified that no such executive proposal has been received or is being considered by the House, countering widespread social media rumors that suggested President Bola Tinubu had submitted legislation to alter the nation's name and related constitutional provisions. The clarification came as the House outlined its current prioritized constitutional amendment bill, none of which includes renaming the country. The denial aims to curb misinformation about legislative activity and reassure the public that reports of dramatic constitutional changes, including abolishing established legal systems, lack factual basis. We will now go on a short break, and when we come back, the news will continue. Stay tuned.
The Papyrus Global, we don't just cover events, we create cinematic experiences. From red carpets to birthdays, gala dinners, and your fairy tale weddings, we bring your moments to life with high-tech precision. Our gadgets are smarter, our lenses sharper, and our team simply world-class. Trust the Papyrus Global to tell your story in the boldest, brightest way possible.
Welcome back, and now the news will continue. The House of Representatives has expressed overwhelming support for a bill that seeks to prohibit the use of foreign currency for everyday domestic transactions in Nigeria as part of amendments to the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) Act. Lawmakers debated and backed the proposed legislation, co-sponsored by members including Honorable Julius Inyobere and Honorable J.C. Onua-Kalusi, aimed at strengthening monetary policy, enhancing transparency, and reinforcing institutional checks and balances within the APEC Bank's operational framework. The proposed amendments would outlaw the use of foreign currencies, such as the US dollar, for local purchases of goods and services outside regulated context, with supporters arguing this move will help curb dollarization, restore confidence in the naira, and promote monetary sovereignty. The bill also introduces structural changes in the CBN's governance, including clearer separation of responsibilities between the governor and board of leadership and a defined non renewable tenure for senior officials to minimize political interference. Proponents say the legislation responds to persistent exchange rate volatility, concerns over monetary policy conduct, and the need for firmer legal frameworks to support economic stability through though critics will likely monitor how such a change will affect cross-border trade and pricing mechanisms once implemented. Honorable Sam Ifeanyichukwu Onugbo, a leading sponsor of Nigeria's Climate Change Act, has warned that a significant portion of the population remains uninformed about the law's provisions and implications years after it was signed into effect. Former House of Representatives member Sam Onugbo, who championed the climate legislation through the National Assembly, highlighted that citizens still lack basic understanding of how the act is meant to shape national responses to climate change and protect Nigeria's environment. The Climate Change Act, which took years to pass and was only enacted after repeated attempts across successive assemblies, provides a legal framework for coordinating mitigation, adaptation, and environmental accountability across government agencies. Onigbo stressed that awareness and comprehension of the Act's goals and mechanisms are essential for Nigerians to benefit from its provisions and contribute to implementation at local and national levels. Experts have previously noted that that limited public knowledge about climate policy is mirrored by broader gaps in climate literacy across the population, with surveys showing low awareness of climate change and its impact relative to other African countries. This gap complicates efforts to mobilize grassroots support for environmental protection and sustainable development initiatives under the law. Broader outreach and educational campaigns will be crucial if the Climate Change Act is to achieve its intended impact for communities across the country. The Nigerian Army has reaffirmed its commitment to stronger collaboration with the National Assembly to enhance national security operations along the country's borders, where threats such as transnational crime and smuggling persist. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Waidi Shaibu, made this clear during discussions with members of the House of Representatives Ad hoc Committee on Border Security. General Shaibu explained that ongoing military operations in border regions face challenges from numerous illegal entry points, limited mobility assets, and logistical constraints. He emphasized that improving security coordination requires joint efforts between the military, legislators, and other security agencies, including customs, immigration, and interior ministries. The army chief also called for enhanced intelligence gathering, acquisition of modern surveillance technologies, and the development of forward operating bases in vulnerable communities to better track and counter cross-border threats. Representatives acknowledged the Army's efforts and pledged support for legislative measures that would strengthen Nigeria's border defense infrastructure and resources. This collaboration follows broader initiatives within Nigeria's security architecture to address persistent insecurity, aligning military operations with legislative oversight and resource mobilization to improve effectiveness along international frontiers with Cameroon, Chad, and other neighboring states. And that's all we have on the National Assembly News on Papyrus Global TV. I am Christiana Babayo. Thanks for joining us.